Hey community, my name is Maria Kim. I'm so happy to kind of sort of see y'all today. I have the honor of serving as president and CEO of Cara, and today we wanted to share with you a little bit about all the things that are going on. I miss being on campus. I'm not gonna lie, I miss the sound of it, the thunderous roar of Motivations below my feet. You know, I'm on the third floor, Motivations is on the second floor. I love hearing the students and the participants coming in, the feet rushing around the hallways, the sound of fingers clacking on keyboards in the computer lab, and the sound of that damn bell. I miss the bell that we ring when somebody gets a job, and people are screaming, ring that bell, ring that bell, ring it. I love that. I miss it so much. And so we're in this moment where everybody kind of wants to get back to normal, but we all recognize that there is no more normal anymore, right? At the time of this pandemic and even the multiple pandemics that we are experiencing, there's just not normal anymore. And so for us, as we've thought about what does that mean to come back to campus, to get back to campus, you know, what's the framework in which we wanted to figure all that out? And we borrowed the first part of this framework from our friends at Loyola University, who came up with LAMA, legally allowable, medically advisable. Makes sense. But for us, because of the mission at play, we wanted to just add a little extra. So our acronym is LAMAMA, legally allowable, medically advisable, mission advanceable. That's the framework that we wanted to use to make intentional decisions about when, how, and whom to return to campus. So we have 4 phases that we're operating under as we design our return to campus strategy. Those 4 phases are phase 1, advance, 2, appointment only, 3, small group, and 4, what we'll call next normal. And so advance is a group of like an advanced team, say 10 colleagues at our downtown campus and a handful at our Southside campus in Bronzeville. And their job is just to test out the traffic flow, test out what it feels like to walk in and get in a queue and get your thermometer checked and do a health screen, test out what it means to kind of be moving around the campus and not bumping into each other, do all the sanitation station work, all those things. They're trying to actually break the system a little bit so we can anticipate what might go wrong when everybody is back in house. In stage 2, appointment only, it's kind of exactly what it says, right? Participants will be brought back on campus based on appointment only. And they might need to come on for a discrete task or opportunity, like getting a bus card or seeing a coach virtually or needing access to electronics, to technology, to be able to connect with our training or various platforms and things like that. Or they might need a suit. They might need to visit our clothing room in order to get access to a suit for an interview. Those kinds of discrete appointment onlys are what we're going to do in stage 2. Phase 3 is small group, meaning what would it look like for us to continue in this hybrid virtual and in-person structure where we're bringing small groups of classes on site at both our downtown and our Bronzeville campus. So small groups means obviously honoring all the rules of spatial distancing, making sure that we keep our distance, but yet still create the feeling of being in a cohort and learning and growing together. And finally, phase 4, next normal, is quite honestly, still going to be a hybrid virtual and in-person solution, but that in-person solution will ramp up, yet larger than a small group, but perhaps not as large as you've seen in the last fiscal year. And that's what we anticipate doing through the remainder of this fiscal year as our city and our country continues to navigate the virus. I would call what we're doing right now a little bit of the 3 bears strategy, right? So not too extreme one way or the other, but just right for us. And the reason why we're taking the precautions that we are for a whole host of reasons, some of which I'm sure you can imagine. The first is that a lot of our staff and of course our participants rely on public transit to come to and from the campus. Secondly, we have a lot of staff and of course participants that have elder and child care responsibilities at home. And third, and perhaps most important, many of our participants live in precarious housing, and we want to make sure we are conscious of all of the various challenges that those kinds of situations and experiences can create for our larger community, and be sensitive to the health and safety of all who choose to come to work. So the cool thing is that Cara, remember Cara is the Gaelic word for friend, that the notion of friendship is alive and well all throughout the organization. First of all, I'll say community for Cara, it's not like a physical space, right? It's a state of being. And I've seen that community come out in spades in all of our participants, looking out for each other, looking out for our staff connecting in new and true ways with each other to support our participants as they both need safety net supports from us and as they move on to more gainful employment. All of those things are happening. The community is as strong as it's ever been, even in the time of this pandemic. Number two, I'll say that we're learning so many things from our essential businesses. You might remember that we run multiple social enterprises, Clean Slate and Cara Connects being the chief among them. Clean Slate just celebrated its 15-year anniversary. How freaking cool is that? And on our 15th day of this campaign, celebrating all the good things that Clean Slate has done over the last decade and a half, we launched our 43rd community. We launched in Gary, Indiana, and it reminded me of all of our early days when we first launched on 79th Street in Auburn Gresham on the south side of Chicago. The through line was all the same. We start with a small and scrappy crew, and slowly over time, we change not only the way the streets look and feel, but also the way the residents look and feel as well. This whole notion of hope and movement towards gainful employment, it's alive and well, and it just got kickstarted in Gary, and we're so proud to be a part. We also think about the progress that Cara Connects has done, another essential business, a staffing company that is alive and well. And this year has helped to create nearly 300 jobs through this business. And in the first early days of the pandemic, both of those social enterprises were on the ground. And actually, as I shared with you all the things we're doing with La Mama to return to campus, I should note that both of those businesses have been open for nearly this entire time, just a brief pause when we first stayed at home. So we are learning from our social enterprises that are vibrant each and every day. Finally, I'll share that Cara Plus, our third social enterprise, is also well on its way. For those of you not familiar, Cara Plus is the extension arm of Cara. How do we bring this workforce method that we worked so hard on over the last 30 years to new geographic markets across the country? If you can imagine, in the time of the pandemic, practitioners that may want to adopt this method might have so much of their own work to do in the time of this crisis that we've had to shift our model a little bit in the last few weeks and months. And what we've noticed, though, is that employers are really itching to learn how they can become more inclusive themselves. And so we thought, how can we be a part of that process and help folks out? And just this past week, launched a series of webinars that are intended to help employers who want to be more inclusive in their practice kind of have a guideway, a pathway to get there. And over 130 folks came to listen and engage in that webinar. It makes me feel hopeful about what is possible in this time in our country, because if employers want to widen their perspective about what talent looks like in our country and what they can do to be more inclusive, then maybe we're on our way to a really courageous national movement to eradicate financial poverty, not just as practitioners in the work, but as employers working alongside us as well. I'll say this, above all else, in a time when there is fear and there is uncertainty, people want to know that they have a place they can call home. And I'm so proud to say that Cara has been that place. We've been a port in the storm for so many people. When I look back, even during the time of this pandemic, we have been working with 600 people over the course of the last few months, 200 of whom we just onboarded since the pandemic began. And we're nearing the end of our fiscal year. And I just looked at the numbers, and over 900 jobs will have been created or secured for nearly 600 participants this year, even in a year where we've been thrown the curveball of all curveballs. And so my learning from there is that our participants, as always, have the resiliency and the mojo to really create new beginnings for all of us, and that our staff has had the strength and the resiliency themselves to show up and show out. If you were to ask me, what can you do to support? I guess first and foremost, I want you to know that I know this pandemic has affected all of us, not just our participants, including some or maybe even many of you. And so we're thinking about you, and we want you to know we are all in this together. And if you want to help us out, I'd love for you to first and foremost say hi, to reach out to a colleague with whom you have a relationship, or a participant with whom you've connected, or to post on our social media, or just let us know how you're doing and how you're navigating through this time. We want our community to know we are all in this together. If you feel you do have some room in your purse and you want to give some of that away, well, of course, we could certainly use it, right? We could use it in one of three ways that I can think of right now. One, we still have an emergency fund rolling for our participants to help transition from where they are today and the adverse impacts of the pandemic to the future. Two, our general operations truly do need support for us to manage the transition from this time and to get ready for what we believe is going to be an increasing need as folks come off of unemployment and are so in need of supportive services to get them back to work. And three, on August 27th, our beautiful associate board is going to be kicking off their summer social, an experiential, cool, lovely, lively, food interactive event that is sure to be super fun and super mission forward. We would love for you to join us for that event too. Whatever you choose, however you give to us and to this mission, just know how grateful we are that we can call you friend and that you are helping us help to tell our participants that truly they have always been essential. We love you all. We miss you so much, and we can't wait to see you. Stay tuned. We'll have another one of these coming next month.